Hello, everyone. Wall Kill Bethelite back at it again. Uh, why exactly do Jehovah's Witnesses feel the need to overhype uh, their religion? Basically, that's, hyping something up, verbally building something up, oftentimes beyond what it actually is. Have you ever driven past like a really small church? I remember driving past AME church. This church was so small. I mean, the only reason I noticed it is because I needed to turn around. And as I was driving, I turned into their parking lot to then go back the other direction. Other than that, I would have drove past and not even noticed the church was there. It was so small. Imagine whatever church is like that in your area, in your neighborhood. Imagine those people calling that little church the organization. You'd be thinking, it's a small building. I get that, but why are you calling it the organization? Jehovah's Witnesses also call their religion the truth. And as we all know, all you have to do is Google Jehovah's Witnesses. Just look them up online. And they're famous for probably the past few 100 years or however long they've been in existence. Not much has been true. As a matter of fact, they will sue you if you post some of their older material online. The material they printed in the past was so ridiculous that if you post it online, they'll sue you. I mean, it's that bad. And they feel the need to show zero humility at all and just overhyping something that anybody with just regular eyes can see does not meet the hype. Obviously, calling your religion the truth when it has falsely predicted the end of the world is the most oxymoron thing that you can do. And then add on to it these people walking around knocking on doors, essentially littering at laundromats, leaving magazines all over laundromats. They used to leave them on the benches at bus stops. You'd have magazines just blowing along the wind all on the ground because they're leaving them all over the place. They call it the preaching work. Everything they do, they put the word the in front of it. It's ridiculous, as if they're the only ones to have preached. I mean, they may be the only ones littering at laundromats, but this has got to be one of the most unwell known religions out there. And they're calling what they do, as far as just knocking on people's doors and giving them magazines and offering to do things with them that they're not qualified to do. They're not qualified to teach anybody anything. They're calling that the preaching work. Like these people overhype everything and believe it. They don't just overhype everything they do. They also believe their own hype. You're talking about a group of people. It's like, what if I drove past Family Dollar, and I like Family Dollar, but some of those Family Dollars, I'm talking about like a specifically small one, and they were calling themselves the organization. Like, this is it. This is the organization. This is it. Everybody be like, why? Why are you so blatantly, obviously lying about something? It's not even fooling people. You're not even tricking anybody. Those small buildings that they call kingdom halls, you're building some of the smallest structures any religion builds. And the only reason y'all have that is because people are doing it for free. That's one of the main ways that they're able to accomplish anything, is because they get people to do it for free. That's not a major accomplishment in and of itself. Why is everything so hyped up? Why does this cult have to hype itself up? Why is everything so hyped up? The truth, the preaching work, the organization, where they do a lot of their printing, they call it the house of God. I mean, oh my goodness. Could y'all stop with the over flattering of yourself? Stop over flattering yourself. They have done things that should be impossible, and I'm talking about in a bad way. So basically, we've covered the titles that they give themselves, the overhyping that they do, and comparing that hype with the reality of, this is one of the smallest religious facilities probably in your area. These are the most least qualified people. They don't have a single person in their entire the whole city that has any kind of seminary training, or that's actually practicing it, or a lot of them ain't even been to college. These are the most underqualified people in the world, knocking on doors and passing out magazines. Keep in mind, the only reason they even got them magazines is because people are printing them for free. People are working for free. That's the only reason they got anything. The only reason they got Kingdom Halls is because people build them for free. The only reason they got these magazines that they go and books that they go all over the place passing out is because they get them for free. People are working for free. This religion takes the worst care of its members of any group. They're essentially, and let me phrase it this way, because I remember talking to a Jehovah's Witness, and they were going off about the nice churches that were in their community, because they said that these churches were a burden to the people, because Jehovah's Witnesses, they got to make an excuse. They're calling the group of the smallest churches in the whole city The smallest churches in the whole damn city, they're calling it the organization. They gotta have an excuse for why everybody else's stuff is nicer than theirs. Everybody else's stuff is nicer than theirs. They gotta have an excuse, and the excuse was, well, these larger facilities, these nicer facilities, are a burden to the members. Now, remember what I said. Jehovah's Witnesses find ways to do things in a negative fashion that shouldn't even be possible. Those small facilities, they call them kingdom halls, those really small facilities we talked about, right? You wouldn't think that they would be a burden, but they are, because they operate based off of free labor. So they have this thing in New York that, you know, we all call it Bethel, their headquarters, whatever the case may be. The concept is that they're a burden to these people because they're getting free labor from them. They're not reimbursing these people. They're not paying for anything. They get people to build their buildings for free. In other words, those members don't get nothing back. And not only do they build those buildings for free, the work involved in printing the magazines and the books that they're passing all over the place, the people are doing that for free. That's a burden. That's a burden. These people, they're working, but they ain't getting paid for it. You can't tell me that's not a burden. When you talk about somebody that has worked, you know, in support of these magazines, and they've done it for years. You got people 10 and over and 15 plus years that ain't been paid in as much time. That's not a burden. So these churches that build these huge facilities, and they actually pay people to do it. They're paying people to do it. That's a burden versus you got all these people out here working for free. You got all these people who have hour requirements that you done put on them, that they got to go knocking on doors and passing out the magazines that you done already made them work for years and years and years for free and printing and producing. That organization is, I mean, it sucks its members dry in that sense. All that driving around they're doing, all the gas money, all the people they told not to go to college back in the day, all the people they told not to get married, the end of the world is about to happen, it's about to happen, it's about to happen. That wasn't no burden. People to this day never had kids. Whole family died out because they never had kids because of that organization. That wasn't a burden. You're talking about a small group of people that shouldn't be able to do that much damage. And they do. They call themselves the organization. They're anything but. However, that little small group of people that overly flatter themselves, they're able to screw up majorly. They're able to screw up majorly. You can't, there is no word in the English language for what happened at Bethel when remember the reassigning or basically laying everybody off. There's no word in the English language for laying off people who work for free. Nobody else would have done that. There's no other group of people, there's no other company, organization, whatever you want to call it, that could screw up that bad. If they're working for free, how can you not figure out a way to keep them working for free? Only Watchtower Only Jehovah's Witnesses found a way to screw that up. They're already, of course, a burden on all these people because they don't have nothing. They're at Bethel and they don't have nothing. But then they found a way to have layoffs. They weren't reassigning everybody. There was a few people that they were reassigning. Everybody else just had to hit the door. They found a way to screw up free labor. No organization that finds a way to screw up free labor can call itself the organization, because I could run a company if everybody working for me for free. I'd keep them busy. There's no way you can call it the organization when not only did they find a way to have a layoff for free labor, which there's no such, this stuff don't exist. It's so bad. There's no word there. You can't call it layoff. You don't know what to call it because nobody can possibly screw up that bad. If other people had a bunch of free labor and they were laying them all off, then we as a society would come up with a term for it so that we knew how to verbalize it. But only Jehovah's Witnesses find a way to have massive layoffs for free labor. So there is no term for it. Only the people that call themselves the organization can screw up that bad. These small churches, small kingdom halls, congregations, whatever you want to call them, however you want to verbalize it, they small. Something that small should not be able to have to, like a group of facilities, a religion that's already small, should not be able to downsize. This is public knowledge now. Like the laying off people at Bethel, the magazines that they print now being like 4 pages, you know what I mean? Like the downsizing, the cutting back. You're already the smallest group of people in the city. How could you cut back? You already have these small facilities. I mean, you know, a 3-year-old could throw a ball from one side of the facility clear to the other. Like, it's so small. How can you have cutbacks when you're already that small? Only Watchtower finds a way to do that. How? We're already as small as we could possibly be, and we're about to sell off a bunch of kingdom halls and downsize what was already a smaller size than pretty much almost any other religious group worth naming in any city. It was already small, and y'all downsized, and y'all are calling the smallest religion that then downsized itself in half again, the organization. It's the organization. Oh my goodness. It is the most overhyped group of people there is. I mean, it's literally the slowest person in the race calling themselves Usain Bolt. I'm talking about field day. Your kid is the slowest in the entire relay race, and you're nicknaming him Usain Bolt, future gold Olympist. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. I've been under the weather here for a while, and that's why I'm drinking so much water. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. I mean, it's calling the most rundown bucket I'm talking about rundown bucket for a car. And you're calling it a Lamborghini. I'm talking about this is what Jehovah's Witnesses do. Get a wagon. You remember those wagons with, the little 4 wheels on it and the handle that you could pull? We used to play on those as kids, the little wagon. Not an actual car wagon, not like a actual wagon that's a car, but the wagon that you pull, and you got kids or whatever stuff you call that a luxury vehicle. That's what Jehovah's Witnesses do with regards to themselves. Call that a Lamborghini or Ferrari. Call a tricycle a freaking Bugatti. A tricycle is a Bugatti. That's what these people do. They take the smallest thing and overhype it to an extreme degree that everybody can see is not true. That tricycle ain't no Bugatti. That skateboard is not a BMW. We know that, but they're the only ones that don't. They're the only ones that are riding a skateboard down the road and they're proud about it, talking about this is the nicest vehicle and there is. It is the vehicle. My skateboard is the vehicle. Like, this is the exact same type of thinking. That is the exact same type of thinking. This bottle of water is an $800 bottle of wine. I mean, this is the exact same thinking that Jehovah's Witnesses use. Comment down below, 937-789-4029. X Wall Kill Bethelite, signing out.